Okay, if we're going to show 45 t-shirts, it's going to be more expensive, therefore cheaper to buy 50. And gotta get a head around this table. Well, if we're going to buy 45 t-shirts, this means between 10 to 49. So if you're only buying 45, they work out at £1.99 each. So it's 45 times by £1.99. Whereas if we bought 50 to 99, 50 t-shirts, now we're going to cost £1.70 each. So a little bit cheaper. So we're going to multiply both of them out, 45 times £1.99. And then, which is £89, £89 and 55 pence. And the other one, which is 50 times £1.70, which gives me 85 quid. Quite clearly you can see £85 is cheaper than £89.55. So you'd have to have both of these for your marks. Right. In order to make a profit in this question, you need to first find out how much it's going to cost you to buy the 60 t-shirts. So we go back to the top, 50 to 99, 60 would fall in there, so it's £1.70 for every one you buy. So that's £1.70 times by 60 t-shirts. Find out the cost of that, which is £102. But it's now saying we're going to sell them for £5 each. So if I want to find out how many I need to sell to first make a profit, okay, you could either do 102 divided by 5, or if you're struggling with that, we could just say, well, £5 would equal one shirt. So hopefully you know that 50 of them, for £50, would be times this by 10. You'd have to sell 10 shirts. Well, if £50 is 10 shirts, we could double that now for £100, which is 20 shirts, or t-shirts rather. So in order to make a profit, we'd have to sell one more, which would be £105, which would be 21 shirts. As I did say though, alternatively, you could have just done, so I'll do this separate by here, 102 divided by 5, which works out as 20.4, which would then have to round up to 21 shirts. Okay. Alright, a bit more going on in this question, so let's just break it down. First, again, if we're focusing on profit, you've got to find out what the outgoings are. Well, the only outgoings we have at the moment is the buy and the 100. So if we look at the previous page, 100 plus would be £1.39. So if we're buying 100 of them exactly, it's 100 times by £1.39, which is £139. That is our outgoing sorted. Now we need to find the profits. So to find the profit is how much money we are receiving, or our income. So they sell 60 t-shirts with 10% off. Another 32 t-shirts at the full price of £4.50. So we don't quite sell all of them, so we're just focusing on the 60 and the 32. Well, let's start with 32, that's easier. 32 are sold at exactly £4.50, so that's £4.50 times by 32. So it's £4.50 times by 32, £144. So we've made £144, we've made a profit already. Now the remaining 60 were 10% off, so we've got to take off 10%. So 10% off. So we've got to take 10% off the original price of £4.50. So let's do that. Well, for 10%, we divide by 10. So 10% off would be 45 pence, but don't forget, got to take that off the original cost. So £4.50, take away the 45p is going to be £4.05. So we sell a lot of them at this cheaper cost. How many did we sell? Let's go back to the top. If you can't see it, 60. So now 60 of them were sold at £4.05. So 60 times by £4.05. So we'll figure that out. 60 times by 4.05. Try that again. Is £243. So we've received £243 for the 60, £144 for the 32 sold at a separate price. So we're going to add those two together, 144 plus the 243. Gives me an answer of £387. So we've received £387. However, to find our profit, it's 144, sorry, the 139 was our outgoings at the beginning, the 387 is what we've received. So for our profit, do this in a separate box, for our profit it's going to be the £387 subtract the £139 at the beginning, which is £248 profit. So a lot going on there, guys. But we can certainly pick up Mark's threat. Okay, first let's get our heads around how these number walls work. Well, 5 add 11 is 16. 11 add 10 is 21. And then 16 add 21 is 37. So we know the two numbers below always add to the two above it. So we could use a bit of trial and error. And they're quite nice. They give you boxes here to try. Okay. Or we could also use a bit of logic. We know the only two numbers here have got to add to 58. So if the two numbers here have to add to 58, that's going to give you some sort of thinking here with how large we start. For example, we could just start with the number 6. 14 add 6 is 20. And then 6 add 10 is 16. Is 20 add 16 anywhere near 58? Well, no, it's not. So we know this number here now would need to be a lot larger. So this time I'm going to try something a lot bigger. So I'm going to go with 12. I've doubled it. 14 add 12 is 26. 12 add 10 is 22. 22 add 26 is not quite going to get me to 58. 26 add the 22 is obviously going to give me 48. So we're a little bit short. We're actually 10 short. So I now know if I'm 10 short from here, I could put a number here which could get me closer to my answer. So, as I said, if we were 10 short, I'm going to make 12 5 times bigger because I know I have to add 5 more to both of these numbers. So let's try the number 17. Well, 14 add 17 is going to give me 31. And then 17 add 10 is going to give me 27. And then 31 add 27 would definitely take me to 58. So a bit of trial and error, but once you've tried the first two, hopefully then it starts to help you thinking. So the missing numbers are 31, 27, and 17. Okay, so for this question, it's just the way it's worded is really confusing. Owen wants to add 2-digit numbers. What it means by this is putting 2 digits together and somehow make a 4-digit number. For example, 23. You've added 2 digits to make a 2-digit number. And then I want to somehow make a 4-digit number by using another 2-digit number. So I could use 13, for instance. Well, how could I make a 4-digit number to ensure that I can now make a what can I do now between these two to make sure I get a 4-digit number? Well, I couldn't add, I couldn't subtract, I couldn't divide, so I'd have to try multiplying. 23 times 13. Let's give that a go. 23 times 13 is 299. Sorry, 299. So that's not quite going to give me a 4-digit number. So let's think about what is the biggest 2-digit number we can make. Well, 99 is. So if I done 99 times 99, let's try that. And now we've got a really big number, 9,801. But the question does say, what is the smallest amount of 2-digit numbers that he needs? Well, 99 times 99 is not, it is going to be too big. So we could try 99 times 10, which is 990. Well, we know that's a little bit too small. 99 times 10 is a little bit too small. So now let's try 99 times 11 and see if that can get us to a 4-digit number. 99 times 11 is going to give me 1,089. So that is my 4-digit answer. So what is the smallest amount of 2-digit numbers that he needs? Well, the smallest amount of 2-digit numbers you could use would have to be the number 11. You can't use anything any smaller because the second I used 10, it didn't quite get us to a 4-digit answer. Little bit confusing. Could argue that this is simultaneous equations at GCSE, but I think because it's pictures, it does help understand a little bit more. We know at the moment a bus and a plane is £14.50. So that means if these two are £14.50, if I cut it off here, these two are also £14.50. So if these two are £14.50 and I cut it off here, these two are also £14.50. Well, £14.50 and £14.50 together, and then whatever this bus is, will take us to the total cost of £35.75p. So already now you can see we can start to find how much a bus would cost. Well, £14.50 add £14.50 is what we'll do first, which it gives me £29. So £29 and the cost of the bus would take me to £35.75. So if I subtract those two, take away the £29 from here, use a calculator for this one to make sure we don't make any silly mistakes. Although I may have already made some, you never know. £6.75. So we now know that this bus here has to be the cost of £6.75. Well, if I now know the cost of a bus is £6.75, remember at the beginning we were told a bus and a plane is £14.50. So to find out the plane, it's nice and simple, just remove the cost of the bus. So £14.50, take away £6.75p. So £14.50, take away my previous answer, gives me an answer of £7.75 for the plane. Okay, bit of metric units here. A wooden ladder with 6 steps. The wood extends 10 centimetres above. As you can see, there's 10 centimetres. But be careful, this is currently in metres. So what I'm going to do is just make it a bit easier for myself and change it to centimetres, which is 195. I've multiplied by 100. If there is 10 centimetres at the top, we know there are 10 centimetres at the bottom. Each wooden step is 5 centimetres thick, so that's, again, it shows you there, so that every single one of these, so use the picture to help you, every single one of them is 5 centimetres, but how many steps are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but it did already say that above. The height, the total height is 1.95, the bit we already converted. The steps are all the same distance apart, work out how far apart they are. Well, if we know the total of the ladder is 195 centimetres, but we've got this little overhang at the top and the bottom of 10 centimetres, let's start by taking off the 10 centimetres from the top and the bottom. So that is going to be 195 centimetres, take away 10, and then take away another 10. So we could have taken away 20 if you wanted, because we know there's 10 at the bottom, 10 at the top. which is 175 centimeters. So that is now because we've removed the top and bottom. Well, we know there are 6 steps. Well, it already told us one step was as thick as 5 centimeters. So if one step is 5, 6 steps would have to be 5 centimeters times by 6, which is 30. So if 6 steps are 30 centimeters, we know we can now take that away from the 175. Which takes me down to 145 centimeters. The question said work out how far apart all the steps are. Well, have we removed from the total height these little overhangs? Yes. Have we removed the size of each step? Yes. So now it's about splitting up these gaps. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 gaps in total, 145 centimeters left to play with. So it's 145 centimeters divided by the 5 centimeters. Sorry, not the 5 centimeters, the 5 gaps. Gives me an answer of 29 centimeters. There is slightly different methods to have found that answer, but regardless, you should have the answer of 29. Right, for this question, if it says 2 by 3, we know it's 2 across, 3 down. So for this one, 5 by 2, and then for this one, 4 by 3. Okay, it doesn't matter which way around you write it. Now what it does say is the company uses a rule to find these costs. The cost of a mat without a border, so we're just focusing on the top half, is based on the area. Well, the obvious thing to do now is to find the area of each mat and see if we can find a relationship. So let's start by doing the first mat. So that's this one here. Well, to find the area of a rectangle, it's 2 times 3, which is 6. So the area of the first one is 6 meters squared. The area of the second one is going to be 5 times 2, which is 10 meters squared. And the area of the final one is 4 times 3, which is 12 meters squared. Now let's look at the cost. Well, when it was 6, we know the cost was 300. When it was 10, we know the cost was 500. And when it was 12, we know the cost was 600. So, is there a relationship between 6 and 300, 10 and 500, and 12 and 600? So, let's have a little look. Well, I know to get, let's look at the obvious one then, 10 up to 500. I know that if I divided the two, 500 divided by 10, I'd have the number 50. For this one here, if I done 300 divided by 6, I'd have the number 50. Remember, you have a calculator. And for this one, if I done 600 divided by 12, because again we know there's always a comparison between the cost and the area, it gives me the answer of 50. So what is my rule? Well, it is whatever the area is. So my rule, I'll write this over here, is going to be the area times by what number? 50. And that will give me my cost. Okay, for this one, it involves a border. It is based on the perimeter. So let's start by finding the perimeter. Perimeter is the distance around the outside. So remember, you're going to pick up marks just by having a go. So let's find out the perimeter of each one. Well, the first mat is 2 plus 3 plus 2 plus 3, or whichever method you use. You could have added them and doubled, which is going to give me an answer of 10 meters. The second one is going to be 5 plus 2 plus 5 plus 7, sorry, plus 2, which is 14 meters. And then the last one is 4 plus 3 plus 4 plus 3. Again, could have doubled, which again is giving me an answer of 14 meters. Well, let's have a look at what the cost was. Well, this cost is 200. This cost is 280. This cost is 280, which makes sense because the perimeter is the same. So is there a relationship between 14 and 280? 14, 280, 10, 200. Well, I know if I divided 200 by 10, divided 280 by 14, 280 by 14, the relationship between each one is going to be 20. 280 divided by 14, well, 28 divided by 14 is 2, so that would be 20, and that would be 20. So what is the rule this time? Well, it is whatever the perimeter of it is multiplied by 20.